Hello everyone, welcome back to another 1/6 scale figure review. Today is a long awaited figure for me. It is the Threezero BERSERK Guts. This is the Berserker Armor limited edition, as you can see down there. And obviously with the blood effects and the head sculpt. I've been looking for this for a very long time. Berserk is one of my favourite animes, up there with Cowboy Bebop. And with the eventual release of Griffith, I definitely needed a Guts to pair side by side with him. And there was some hiccups with this particular version that I got. It was more the wrist peg, and I'll get into more detail about how I fixed it so it can obviously hold accessories and fit in the arm socket. And yeah, I think for the best for me to preserve this figure as much as possible, I'm not going to pose him. Mostly because that wrist peg here, his left arm, which is kind of ironic considering if you've read the manga or watched the anime, you will know what happened to his left arm. But because mine snapped, this is the pose I'm going to keep him in, representing the volume 42 cover. But I am going to go into detail with the armored head sculpts and the unmasked here, and just talk about the anime itself and the appreciation of the figure here. So if you guys do enjoy this, make sure you like and sub, and we'll get right into it. So I thought it'd be really cool to start with the limited edition head sculpt and go from when Guts first wore the armor and his transition later on into the more rageful one. But in the manga, this is pretty much the first appearance of the Berserker armor and how it looked. It's very skull-like, which hones back to Skull Knight and his history with the Berserker armor. With this particular head sculpt, you get this collar piece, which is more finely architected compared to Guts' more recent appearance with the collar. So the more smooth one goes like that. And you will see later on, both his helmet and this collar piece do change. So what I'll do is go close up to the head sculpt. And it is very Venom-like, I guess, with the jawline being covered by these appendages. He's got blood and grime running down his face. He's also got one eye closed. If you know, you know. And he's only opening this eye. No spoilers, of course. I'll try to limit them. So now, the next transition from the Berserker armor would be with this helmet look. And what you do is you have to pop the forehead off to reach the human face and pretty much attach it in here. And with the limited edition, you get a different expression, which is a more angrier look. I have it on the full complete Berserker armor mode, because I feel that this head sculpt and expression suits this mask compared to the later on. But I'll go and change it now to the more Batman Berserker armor appearance. So just quickly, this is the faceplate here, which you can see it's a pretty sightly seam line. You're not supposed to have him unmasked and have him like this without the helmet, but you do interchange this expression with a later one I'll show you. But just quickly, and this is with all the masks, to change it, you just pop this off, and that splits. And this square here connects with that. And then pretty much the way you just put it on. And there, that's how you do that with all the masks. So this is pretty much the second transformation of the Berserker armor. So it's a much different look compared to the skull-like one. This is when it probably morphs to Guts' more desirable feeling, I guess you can say. So no longer is it skull-like, it's more, I guess you could say, animalistic. A lot of people don't like this look because it looks like, you know, I said it before, it looks like Batman. It's very Batman-esque. I personally don't see that. I mean, me being a Batman fan, I don't really see that. Maybe it's the ears. I think it's the ears. And yeah, this neck piece, unfortunately, is the only neck piece for all three of the helmets. So you have to pop off this neck piece and swap it on with all the helmets, which I'm not a fan of. It would have been nice if Threezero had 3 different head sculpts have the neck piece. But yeah, this has got the blood effect, which varies and is different from the standard edition, which has just a clean look. And once again, what I love about this armor is I think you can see the eye just a bit more compared to the skull look. And yeah, what I'm going to do now is go to the final mask look, which is the completed form. So now we have the final transformation for the Berserker armor. A lot of people's definitive look of the armor. This is pretty much Guts fully forming into pretty much a wolf-like character. And this does articulate, so this is pretty good. Although I would have loved if Threezero had done another head sculpt to make this even more limited, where the armor head sculpt is pulling away and you actually get a full head sculpt. So it's like Berserker is trying to rip the armor off. Because for people that don't know, the more he wears the armor, the more he basically is losing himself. Basically, the more he wears it, the more he loses himself, and then he goes berserk, or could go berserk, which, you know, that's pretty much the whole point of the manga. Also begs the question, if we're going to get the full Berserker armor look here, why Berserker wasn't included in either the limited or regular edition. I mean, I assume she wouldn't be that hard to make of a figure. She's a 1/6 child, and Threezero doing, you know, Stranger Things could have used a body of that as well. It would have been nice to have that. Who knows, maybe in the future we do get her, and maybe a Casca, and the Zod would be really, really awesome too. Hopefully. They have hinted, Threezero, that they're continuing the Berserk line after Griffith, which would be the recent one, coming out in a couple of months. This is LED light function as well. Obviously, me being in Australia, I cannot purchase LEDs for this to be put in use, pretty much, but I wouldn't really use it. I'm not a fan of the LED look. I'm not a fan of LEDs, and also when the light hits it right, it does give the gloss around the eyes. And just to open his mask a little bit, just to see the different expression, the more angrier look, which is a really, really nice addition. I'm pretty sure this look is only for this release, which is the limited. But yeah, I would have loved if we had more of the helmet peeling back and have a full head sculpt as an additional swap out. But either way, I still love this, and even though this isn't my preferred look, I like the unmasked look. If Threezero do another release of the Berserker armor, I may pop this one onto this figure I have now and have an unmasked Guts with a possible additional look if Threezero are willing to do another Berserker Armor. But speaking of the unmasked head sculpt, this is my preferred look. So this is Guts unmasked, and the way I did it, the order, it is fitting because through the result of him constantly wearing the suit, it is pretty much eating him alive in a way, and his hair has been damaged due to wearing the suit too many times. And it's actually a really, really good likeness. I think it's on par with the recent Prime 1 attempts. It's really, really good. It's got the scratches on the cheekbone and the jawline. He's also got the nose scar from when he was a child. And then obviously the branding, which is kind of hard to focus and see. There we go. And he's also got the Talisman spell by Shersky, who put that on top of the branding to avoid him getting hunted down by apostles or the Godhead themselves. Just zoomed in a bit more here. What I also would have loved if Threezero done the first appearance of Guts unmasked in the suit, so when his hair is in a different style, there's way more fringe and his face is like completely bloodied. I'll put up the manga panel now. That would have been pretty awesome. I think Prime 1 did that the first time he pretty much wore the suit and unmasked, and you see the white tips in his hair. That would have been really nice, but I do love this head sculpt. So what I'm going to do now is pop it back on the suit. I don't want to put the other head sculpts on because they have that additional neck peg, and it's only one neck peg per head sculpt, and it is really, really difficult to not only swap it through the various heads, but when you want to put this head sculpt on, that additional neck piece is pretty scary to take off because you feel like you're breaking the ball joint. So unfortunately I'm not going to put that on, but I am going to pop this on and talk about the armor itself. So we got Guts here in the full Berserker armor. I just want to point out that I think it's shameful that Threezero didn't give a display stand. I'm still very, very scared to use a regular crotch grabber like this. I'm thinking of going and fishing out the really unnecessary large baseball pitch diamond style hot toy base that they used to use back in the day for this, just because this is just pretty much unacceptable that such a hefty figure, even without the Dragon Slayer sword, just the armature is so heavy plastic. To have him stand up without support was very bad on Threezero's part. Also, I feel that if you are going to have Guts holding the sword like this without it on his shoulder or something in a pose that's going to make him more top heavy, I would recommend finding an acrylic stand like this and have it assisting the sword to kind of counterbalance everything. I do know the recent Black Swordsman version of Guts does have something similar to this that does assist the Dragon Slayer. But yeah, I'll definitely urge to get something to help support this balance. Even if you get like fishing wire, I've seen people do it with their D12s with Spider-Man to do dynamic poses. Fishing wire would probably be more hidden than an acrylic stand, but you definitely do need something to counterbalance this. I'm kind of risking it for the video, but yeah, it is what it is. But going further into detail, I can't fault Threezero on the details that they've done here. Something about mechanical-like armor Threezero nails. And that's why I'm so happy that Threezero are diving into more anime-like stuff that don't need a human likeness. And yeah, this suit, although it's not die-cast, is very heavy. And it does move similar to what I've seen of their Transformers line. So when you move the bicep, there's other mechanical parts that move with it. The knee armor stuff splits open and shuts closed, similar to their Transformer line. Which again, Threezero nail when it comes to armors and the way you can pose around them. And just going to the Dragon Slayer itself, which is detailed pretty good. I mean, would you even consider this a sword? I mean, this is just pretty much a big iron bar at this point. And obviously the exclusive has not only the sword riddled in blood, but the suit is as well. That's what's giving that purple tinge, is the blood effect. And just pan out a bit to see it. You got the cape, which is very disheveled. That's not a fault with the discoloration. That is supposed to be like that. All tattered and disgusting, matching his armor, which to be fair, I doubt Guts really cares at this point to clean himself. So earlier in the video, I was talking about a potential additional version of the Berserker Armor that Threezero could kind of capitalize on, considering how well this sold and the other edition. And that would be the more retracted back suit. So you had the first regular one, which was just the matte black without battle damage and blood. You have this version, the limited, with the additional head sculpt and the blood. I would love the other look of the Berserker Armor, which is more scaled back. So I'll pop a picture up of what I mean, and you will see that the armor isn't fully transformed on him. He's got his arms exposed, his cannon on his left arm is exposed. That's my preferred look of this version of the suit. Although I do really love the Berserker Armor as is here. But my favourite is the more scaled back version. And if Threezero were to do another version, I would have this limited edition full suited up with the wolf head sculpt in pretty much the rage mode. But if Threezero don't, I'm happy that I got this. And considering it is limited edition, I was very lucky to find this at a really good price. And I can't wait to have him scaled with the eventual Griffith coming out this year. And hopefully more. Hopefully we do get a Casca. A Nosferatu Zod would be amazing. I don't know how they would build that, but that would be amazing. They did make a Skull Knight, and much like the Black Swordsman armor, they did do a 2.0 kind of reissue of that. That is actually still available to purchase. I might get it just to complete the line. But I actually do hope they do a deluxe of the Skull Knight and give the horse. Skull Knight and his horse kind of pair together. So I've zoomed in a little bit just to talk about the issue that I had with this particular figure and this version. I don't know if it's a universal thing with this limited edition, but I have seen some people have this problem as well, which is the wrist pegs. And my left, your right, but Guts' left peg here split. And I'll show pictures because it's pretty identical from the other people that have this problem. And there are some positives that come with this. Obviously, breaking a part is not a positive, but Threezero are rectifying that. And if you're the original owner and have the details that the warranty sheet needs you to provide them, you will get a replacement. The problem is though, I am not the first owner of this. I was a second buyer. I bought it from someone that kept it mint and unfortunately doesn't have those details anymore, so I was kind of lost with what to do. But what I ended up doing to fix the joint was I drilled into the two broken parts. I put a strong wire in between them and glued them and kind of sandwiched them together. And that's pretty much how I fixed it. There are some side backs though. I can't move the wrist peg up and down. I can only twist it. So you can't move the joint up and down. It's only a twist side by side. Again, it's a bit of a drawback, but it was either that or no peg at all, so I would rather that. So some side-by-side comparisons we've got, and I don't have any Berserk figures on me right now yet, but I feel this is a really good comparison considering that Miura was very inspired by horror, especially Hellraiser when it came to creating Berserk. You know, the whole Baylet situation that the characters go through is very similar to the configuration box that is given out to people in the Hellraiser universe. And you can see Guts is kind of bent over and hunched in the pose I've given him, and he still towers over Pinhead, which is pretty accurate. You know, Guts is actually a giant, pretty much, in the anime and manga. And also, just quickly, this is the Mezco 1/6 scale Pinhead, not the Threezero, which I actually prefer this version over the Threezero one. Mostly because this is more skin-tight leather compared to the fake pleather they used for Threezero's version. But yeah, this is a really awesome comparison with these two. And here is the Threezero Guts next to Hot Toys Battle Angel Alita. Another really great anime. This is actually a really good anime adaptation, which I don't think is as appreciated as it should be. Or maybe I'm wrong, because Cameron did hint he's doing a sequel to this, which is much needed. But yeah, this is a really awesome figure too. Such a good movie and such a good anime. Both, actually, matter of fact. Aside from the 2016 Berserk, that is a dog shit adaptation in my opinion. I mean, if you want to see what happens after the eclipse, I guess watch it. But personally, I would say just read the manga. I mean, you got the better material there. But even with these two standing, even with Alita on a higher base, she's still smaller compared to the Threezero Guts, and he's crouched too. So yeah, that just shows how massive he is. And it also makes me a bit upset that we didn't get a base like this for Guts I mean, just something, Threezero. Give us something to stand this figure. It's kind of like the Tots situation up there with Sam. Just give us something to make these figures stand. Especially at this weight. But yeah, these two are an awesome addition to an anime collector. Or people that just like dystopian-esque sci-fi. And just my final thoughts on the figure. I think this is an amazing piece. I'm so happy I was able to get a second chance to pick this up, considering it was limited and is extremely expensive and difficult to find these days. At the time, I was very picky in what to get and collect due to my limited space, but because I am now moducase building and starting to grow a bigger collection, I'm able to pick up some stuff that I missed. And yeah, now just using that as an excuse pretty much to start buying more stuff. But I do generally love this manga and anime that I had to pick it up. And I do have Griffith on pre-order and basically waiting his arrival, even though I hate him. But I do need him to pair with Guts because they're, you know, the yin and yang of the Berserk lore. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure you like and sub. And I'll see you in the next one.